Hi, I'm Alison Warner, founder of Evolve and Grow and author of Build and Grow. Welcome to the Evolve and Grow podcast show, where I share lots of useful tips and advice to tradespeople who are looking to move off the tools and grow a really successful business. Okay, so I'm delighted to be joined this afternoon by Andrew Small, who is the MD of Houzz, which is the leading platform for home renovation and design. Andrew joined the company 7 years ago after having an extensive background in the technology industry in lots of different guises, consulting, investing, and for the last 10 years, the operational side, helping businesses scale up essentially outside of the US. So welcome, Andrew. Thank you very much for being a guest on the show this afternoon.
Thank you, Alison. Delighted to be here, communicating with your listeners and love what you're doing with this podcast. Certainly from our perspective at Houzz, the idea of providing content to help construction firms and trades grow and run their businesses effectively is a topic which is really passionate and close to our hearts and very much aligned with what you're trying to do as well. So really, really chuffed to be here.
That's great. That's great. So if you wouldn't mind, Andrew, just to kick off, just elaborate a little bit more on your background and what led you to deciding to take your career in the direction of Houzz.
Absolutely. So as you said, my career has really been in technology for the last 20 years, initially working with big companies in technology consulting and then investing in very young technology businesses from an investment side perspective. And then over the last 10 years, more on the operations side, helping from the inside get involved in growing and scaling technology businesses. Now, I joined Houzz 7 years ago, was drawn into the product and the mission of the company as someone with a family home and a family and lots of hopes and dreams and aspirations for our home. I immediately got sucked into the Houzz platform as a user. And I'm sure many of the people listening today can relate to the idea of investing in our homes and improving our homes. It's a topic which I think all of us find engaging on some level. And at Houzz, we're really about trying to bring technology to bear to make that home design experience better for everyone, both homeowners, but also the businesses, the professionals, the construction firms, the builders, the architects, the interior designers involved in that process. So we're really about bringing technology to that industry and helping make that design experience better for everyone involved.
Fantastic. And one that is really booming at the moment. I know I myself, we've recently we've just had a new kitchen fitted, and it's a minefield really in terms of where do you start? And if you're short of time as well, it can be something that just gets put on the back burner, can't it? But this idea of bringing it all together. So how would you say Houzz is different perhaps to other solutions out there that might do something similar?
So first of all, I'd say we're big. We're the world's leading platform for home renovation and design. There's 65 million people around the world who use our web platform, our mobile apps, and also 3 million design businesses who are on Houzz. Millions and millions of images. So if you're a homeowner coming to Houzz looking for inspiration, browsing through millions of images, exploring the content through our online magazine, or connecting with one of those design or construction professionals through our professional directory, it's certainly that scale and breadth of what we're doing. And then more recently, for those businesses, we launched something called Houzz Pro, which is really our end-to-end solution for helping those businesses grow more effectively and run their businesses more effectively. So how we set ourselves apart is trying to provide an all-in-one solution that helps them run their business end-to-end using technology to help them stand out, help them win clients more effectively, help them manage those leads more effectively, and help them communicate and work with their clients more effectively using really simple to use online and mobile tools that make the experience better for their customers, the communication better, the transparency better, but also help them save time, get more time back in their evenings and weekends, and make more money by being more on top of their finances, clearer with their customers about when things are going to be delivered and what's expected. And so by using those tools, just running their businesses better So it's that end-to-end nature as well as the size and scale of Houzz that we think sets us apart in this space.
So most of our listeners tend to be in a construction or trade business in the smaller end of the market. So typically turning over probably up to around a maximum of 3 million. How would you describe Houzz Pro to them in terms of, I mean, I know you've gone through some of the benefits there, but just perhaps give an example of how it can help a business be more efficient.
Absolutely. So say, as you say, you're essentially a one-person company. You maybe have a network of subcontractors that you work with. You're consistently busy. You kind of go from job to job with a lot of your work generated by word of mouth, and you're doing all of the administration around your business essentially in your spare time. What we want to do is provide you with a platform that provides right the way through your customer's life cycle, something that's going to allow you to put your best foot forward at every step of the way. So if you don't have a modern mobile responsive website, we'll help set you up and build you on. We'll make sure that examples of your business profile, the images of your work, your reviews and what customers are saying about you is circulating in front of a really relevant audience of renovating homeowners who are on Houzz right from the beginning of their design journey, when they're starting to, husband and wife sitting down in the evening talking about the thing that they want to do in their home. We want to make sure that you're there and consistently there throughout that journey. But then when those inquiries come in, whether they be through Houzz or through another platform, we want to provide you with the tools so that your client communication is excellent, that you never miss an opportunity to follow up with a client because you're always tracking your leads and opportunities in a really logical way. We'll give you tools to make sure that the proposals and the documents you put in front of potential customers are top drawer. They look slick and polished and modern, and it's all online and highly transparent. We'll save you time by helping you produce an estimate really quickly. One of the features we launched recently within Houzz Pro is a really simple to use takeoff solution. So if you're a builder, you're used to producing estimates off plans, and you've got a pen and paper and a ruler and a plan out, and 9 o'clock at night trying to get an estimate to someone, you're trying to get a list of quantities and volumes and measurements together. We'll help you do that online in a few clicks and save you a ton of time. And then when you're working with your customers through that project, how are you keeping them up to date? Are they on top? Are you on top of what's happening next? Do they know what's happening next? We'll give you simple tools like online dashboards that you can share with your customers so that they know exactly where they stand in the project. And you can invoice them directly from Houzz and collect payments directly through Houzz. So it's all end to end, right from branding yourself online right the way through to collecting money and that all important positive review at the end of the project. We've got something that's going to help put your best foot forward at every step of the way.
Interesting. So you're kind of bringing, because a lot of the things you talked about there, I was thinking, well, that's kind of a CRM system, that's a job management system. It sounds as though you're kind of bringing everything to in one place together under one roof. And I understand it launched in 2020. Was that off the back of the pandemic that you saw that there was a kind of bigger need for it, or what led to you developing this?
Not really, in all honesty, Alison. I think it helped accelerate certain things that were already in the works. Houzz Pro was something we'd been working on, really listening to our community, what they were telling us they wanted. People want things that are simple. They don't want to have a dozen different tools and different systems and ways of working. So we were already busily creating Houzz Pro and expanding our offering for the professional community before the pandemic. What the pandemic did was sort of accelerate trends that were already there, right? It was, we quite quickly into the pandemic, we launched a new feature around video meetings so that if a homeowner is browsing professionals in our directory at the click of a button, for our paying clients, they can connect and book a video meeting directly through our website, which again was just a really simple way of professionals still being able to interact with homeowners when we were in lockdown. But generally, that trend was already there, where homeowners are seeking to use technology more. Their expectations are going up in terms of access to information and having a transparent experience when they're renovating their homes. But it was more about what the community were telling us rather than the pandemic itself.
Yeah. We've certainly seen that in our business as well, that it's accelerated, as you say, the trend that was already there. There was already an interest in other industries to use technology to be more efficient, and I think the pandemic just sped that up. And it's very much needed, I think, in the industry to get those efficiencies. So what kind of consumer trends have you noticed in terms of the customers that are wanting to work with trades?
I think, well, first of all, we've already touched on a big one, right? This overwhelming trend in terms of people wanting to work online, wanting to work very transparently. So one thing, is the ability to be able to interact seamlessly using technology. That's definitely that's definitely a trend. I think also, though, it's about the overarching expectations that we see from the Houzz community of homeowners. If you think about what experience you now have in other areas of your life, you take your mobile phone out your pocket, and from so many other areas, booking a holiday, buying a house, buying your groceries, booking a taxi, there's just so much information there at your fingertips now. And we believe that, consumers really expect they expect information about businesses to be readily available and at their fingertips. They expect to be able to read reviews about businesses and research them online before they interact with them. And then when they become a customer, or when they're considering becoming a customer, our expectations in society generally have gone up because of technology. We expect things to look professional. We expect to have some kind of online experience where we can see exactly what's going on. And as you say, the construction industry, the trade industry, it hasn't been in that place necessarily. It's been very fragmented, very offline. Even today, when you're interacting with a typical trade professional, it'd be very pen and paper. It'll be WhatsApp messages or instant messages. But in other areas of our lives, we definitely expect to have information at our fingertips. And that's where we feel we can really help businesses up their game and just be more competitive and really stand out in their market. And it is competitive. It's booming, as you say, but it is competitive. And if you can just be a cut above by using tech and tools in the right way, then you can really stand out.
And it's something that we talk about frequently. It's almost easier to stand out in this industry because of the perception of the industry. So because customers are often expecting a builder, for example, to show up in a certain way, if they have embraced technology in this way, then it can be a real value add, which arguably in other industries, it's harder to achieve.
Definitely. I was chatting to a chap that we've worked with for a while now, who's a builder in the Midlands, and he'd originally come to us and started working with us because he was interested in marketing his business, and he was interested in advertising and things like that. But he was saying that what he'd come to, he'd gone on a bit of a journey himself and realised that actually he wanted to up his game in terms of how he was running his business and how he was interacting with customers, because he saw that there was a threat there, that it was if he didn't do that other people would come along and over time sort of eat his lunch, as it were. And it's a slow moving trend, but it is happening. And many people will say, no, I've run my business this way for years. I've been doing it for 20 years. I don't need to change. I'm always busy. But it is happening in society generally. And I think that the construction industry, it's coming and it's going to catch up. And those people that really embrace it, if they're planning to be in business for the next 10, 20 years, they're going to really need to lean into it to stand out and run a great company.
So you recently released the State of the Industry report, and this showed that design and build firms are the most optimistic about revenue growth in 2022. What do you think is fueling this optimism?
Well, I think 2020 going into 2021, it was undoubtedly booming in terms of the interest in home renovation projects. The pandemic obviously fueling an interest in work from home culture and people evolving their homes accordingly, making their spaces work for them in a different setting. Also, the access to cheap capital The rise of disposable income with people going on less holidays over that period meant all of a sudden, all those projects that people have been scratching their head and thinking, yeah, I should really get around to that. It washed through, and there was just this huge boom in homeowner demand. And we certainly saw that on Houzz with inquiries for design professionals and construction professionals up massively year over year. When we've, as you say, surveyed our professional community, there's been more businesses reporting year over year revenue growth through 2021 than in the past 4 years. So it was definitely a period where people were seeing their revenue growing. What I'd say is, obviously, since we ran that survey, which was earlier in the year, the world climate has definitely changed, right? There's a lot going on in the world right now. It's less stable than it was. But the fundamentals of home renovation and home construction, we certainly believe, are very strong. On Houzz, we see the vast majority of our users, close to 90% of our users, are over 35. A large share of renovating homeowners are over 55, and they have disposable income that they're looking to invest heavily into their homes. In the UK, we've got an aging housing stock. Nearly half of homeowners in the UK live in a home that was built before 1940. So naturally, those properties, they need maintenance, they need renovating. And then just the affordability of housing. House prices are going up year over year significantly at the moment. And so naturally, people are looking to buy doer-uppers and investing their homes in different ways, maybe rather than moving, which again, it all creates upward momentum and pressure. So despite the world being a bit more uncertain now, we certainly still see that there's a lot of opportunity and that home professionals will be very busy through 2022 and beyond.
So given what you've just shared there, do you see the cost of living crisis that we're hearing so much about in the media at the moment as a threat to growth?
Well, it's certainly a topic that I think we're all feeling, right? And we're all concerned about on some level. I've got 3 boys at home and I feel like they're eating me out of house and home with our food bill at the moment. So I think we're all feeling it on some level. At Houzz, we're certainly seeing that trend reflected in our user survey data. We fielded a large survey in as recently in March and April of this year. And we're seeing that homeowners are still prioritizing renovations. Almost half of the respondents to that survey said that they were still planning to renovate in 2022. So as I said before, I think the underlying demand is going to continue to be there. But in another survey that we ran with our professional community, our State of the Industry report, we also see that there's definitely home construction professionals are really feeling the effect of rising costs. In the design and build community, 94% of the respondents to that survey said that they were experiencing rising costs and that was affecting their business. So it definitely puts pressure on profit margins. There's work to be done. People are busy, but they've got to work out how they're going to digest those increasing costs. And that's where working effectively, using tools and technology to run your business in a smart way is even more important in that climate. How are you going to capitalize on that booming backdrop of interest in home renovation whilst making sure that you're communicating effectively with customers in that environment of rising costs? One of the aspects in our solution, Houzz Pro, that we've invested heavily in is having a really simple way of administering change orders on a project. So if something does happen, right, so the scope changes or the materials cost change, that there's a really transparent way that as the professional, you're able to update your client in real time and they can see at the click of a button, this is how the cost on the projects has changed, and they can approve it or comment on that live online, and you're getting that real-time feedback loop coming back to you, and then it's super transparent. No one's left confused at the end of the project with a thread on WhatsApp, where something was communicated but not really understood and it wasn't clear. And then as the professional, you're then eating that cost increase at the end of the project.
Absolutely.
Because the client can sign off on it.
Yeah, I was interested to see that in the report. I think it said that it was 10 to 15%. It often costs businesses extra on a project by not managing variations. And it's something that we see continually, is how that is managed. And it's absolutely right. You've got to make sure that technology is making you more efficient as a business so that you can remain competitive. But variations is something that we see all of the time is mismanaged. And then you get to the end of a project and you've got an awkward conversation to have.
One of the things I've found in my personal life as I've been working on projects is that not everyone feels comfortable talking about the financial side of things as well. And you could be an incredible carpenter or a flooring company, but you may not actually be that comfortable talking to your clients about the financial side of things. And you might naturally want to please. You want to offer them a brilliant service. Sometimes it can feel really uncomfortable saying, I'm really sorry, but actually that flooring material is now 20% more expensive. Or that one comment that you made to me about moving that wall back slightly, that's actually going to mean that the plumbing needs to change. And all of a sudden costs are mounting up and you haven't had that direct chat. So if you can help take some of that awkwardness away using a really simple online platform, then that can make you take some of the stress out of
absolutely
running your company as well.
Yeah. And also I think implementing technology like this, if you're doing it properly, it forces you to look at your customer journey and make sure that you've actually thought about, right, if this happens, this is what I want to happen. And so that you can communicate to your team and everybody, the left hand knows what the right hand's doing. Otherwise, that's again where inefficiencies can creep in, mistakes can be made, and ultimately the bottom line is at risk. So the report also indicated, now, we've seen this as well, an increase in hiring to match the increase in demand. And obviously at the moment it's a real challenge to find good people. Do you have any tips there on how businesses can approach the employee supply challenge?
Yes, so it's certainly a real challenge. I think the report you're referring to, and bear in mind the respondents many of them are small businesses who maybe aren't used to expanding rapidly and hiring lots of people. I think 29% of businesses did expand the size of their teams in 2021 compared to only 17% in 2020. So absolutely, with that interest from homeowners, firms are looking to expand, to capitalize, to grow. We know, again, well publicized, like unemployment in the UK right now is incredibly low. And there's obvious hiring challenges that we hear from our professional community as a result. What we do hear in terms of creative suggestions and ideas, I think the community is certainly adapting by leveraging government apprenticeship schemes. So looking to bring more young talent into the industry, train people up, which is obviously a time sink, but can be incredibly rewarding and a very cost-effective way of growing your business and training that next generation of tradespeople that we need so badly in the UK, right? So that's something that I think everyone can, again, relate to on some level. And then obviously if, what we do hear from our clients is if they're able to use technology to save them time, that might prevent them needing to hire. So, for example, our customers that invest in advertising and branding and lead generation with us will work with a dedicated client success manager who's really helping them get success on our platform, helping educate them how to use our tools, but also helping advise them on their overall marketing strategy. Again, that can be a source of sort of leveraging someone else's time rather than needing to hire another headcount internally, which can be very time consuming and difficult and obviously expensive and risky. So
that's right. Absolutely. It's more of a headache. And I think by building your team and using, outsourcing those tasks, it's not that headache of having to cover an overhead, and that person's going to have a lot more expertise as well, potentially, than somebody who you maybe could afford to hire for your own team. So it's a good way of thinking about it. Definitely. Yeah. What do you foresee to be the big business challenges for the next 6 months?
I think so. Some of the biggest ones are very common challenges that I think are there on an ongoing basis in the industry. So managing client expectations, working with clients who maybe have unrealistic expectations, particularly on costs in an environment of rising costs, as we've spoken about. That one of the things we've heard in our State of the Industry report is the concern about future volatility of prices and that uncertainty that creates. So if you're quoting on a job today, do you understand what those prices are going to be 2 months from now, 3 months from now, when you actually need those materials on site? And I think that's something that is naturally going to cause anxiety and risk for our professional trades in the UK. Again, I think the more organized you can be, the more on top of your processes, the more transparent you are with your customers right the way through the project life cycle. From the very first time someone gets in touch with you, if you're responsive, if you're clear, if you look professional, if your documents are well structured and clearly branded and laid out, and if you're providing yourself and them with tools to communicate effectively and stay up to date on what's happening and what's changing and what the prices are, when the next payment's due, if you can sort of set yourself up in that way, then you're minimizing the downside of some of those natural pressures that are going to be there as with this sort of high inflation environment that we're now in.
Yeah, no, completely agree. And just my last question, Andrew, what key piece of advice would you give out of all of the things that we've discussed, or perhaps something different? What key piece of advice would you give to a renovation business this year?
I think the key piece of advice I would give, or if it were my business, right, if I was running a renovation or a construction firm, I'd be saying, how can I elevate the service that I'm providing my clients? How can I elevate that experience that they're getting? Because if you're always trying to stay one step ahead of your competition, not just in terms of the product or service you're delivering, but really the entire experience, right? When you choose to invite a professional into your home to change your home in some way, it isn't just the kitchen units or the bathroom or the flooring that they're buying. It's the process of doing that they're buying. And if you can make that process better, if you can make it more transparent, if you can make it better for them, clearer for them, then you're protecting your business as much as possible from any future uncertainty. You're more likely to get to the end of that project with another happy customer who's going to refer you on to the right type of customer for that future project that you're looking for again. So I'd say just look for ways to elevate the service that you're offering your customers. And we certainly believe that online tools and technology play a big part in what customers expect now and can really help businesses, small business owners, get a leg up on their competition.
Well, we're definitely singing from the same hymn sheet there, because that's something that we talk about a lot. If you get into just in a different way, so we say if you get into the top 20% of businesses that are offering your service in terms of customer experience, you'll never be short of work, because if you wow those customers, they have in effect become your marketing. Because most people, especially with a building project, will ask recommendations. That plays a much bigger part, perhaps, than some other industries. And there'll always be work out there, regardless of, that's something I learned a long time ago, regardless of what's going on in the economy, there's still customers wanting your service. And so the more slick and professional you can be, you'll never be without work, I don't think, in this industry. There's always work there for you. Yeah, that's great. Well, it's been really interesting chatting to you this afternoon, Andrew. Thank you very much for your time. Just lastly, anyone who is interested in finding out more, where should they go?
Houzz.co.uk. That's HOUZZ. And go to our website and sign up for a professional account on Houzz and explore the services and products that are on offer to help you grow your business more effectively and run it more effectively, save you time, win more work, stand out, and just look effective in the eyes of your customers relative to your competition.
Fabulous. Great. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, Alison. Bye-bye.
I really hope you have enjoyed today's podcast. I would love to invite you to join our Trades and Builders Business Growth Group on Facebook, where I regularly share lots of information to help you create a more successful trades business. You can also order a copy of my book, Build and Grow, which is available on Amazon.